Hey everybody, welcome back to the When Words Fail Music Speaks podcast where we fight depression with the power of music. I'm your handicapped host, James Cox. And I have another guest for you today to be interviewed with me. He is one of my best friends of all time, well, just recently, because we met, and I think we met last year. His name is Caden Collins, and he is blowing up on the music industry. He has a podcast. He's worked with Keith Camp, which he recorded the vocals for one of his songs called Perfect Mess, and we are going to play it on the show today. Um, and we are going to just have a good time talking about music. Kaden, what's up, brother?
James, how are you doing, my friend? It's an honor to be here on your show. I've been a when words fail, music speaks podcast fan for I don't even know how long, but it's an honor to be here. And I don't know what's going on with Blake, but I do send him my best, and I love him dearly, and I love you as well. So I'm looking forward and super honored to be here on your show.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Yeah, because okay, so Blake is having it's going through a little bit of hard times now. So we are um, taking this one day at a time with him, and he did an interview with us yesterday. We interviewed Cliff and Susan, and I got to get them on. And I got to tell them about you because your show is blowing up. It's called the Caden Collins Show, um, and you've interviewed a lot of guests. And a guest that I want to mention is two things. First, uh, I want to give a give a give a condolences to the Oak Ridge Boys. Joe, their lead singer, passed away like a few weeks ago, and I know that you love country, and so can you tell us your love for the Oak Ridge Boys because you interviewed William Golden, right?
Yeah. I first off, what an amazing start to a show Joe Bonsall is.
Yes.
There's not another soulful, kinder soul than Joe Bonsall. And I haven't had a public platform to speak out about his top or his passing. So thank you so much for giving me this platform. But Joe Bonsall was just one of the kind. He lit up a room and it didn't matter where you lived or where you were. You knew who the Oak Ridge Boys were because of Joe Bonsall.
Right.
And he was that light for so many people. He was an advisor, he was a mentor, he was a friend, he was a brother, he was a dad, he was a songwriter. But most importantly, I think people would want to know is that he was a Christian. And I think that's safe to know that we will see Brother Joe Bonsall again. And as much as it might hurt now, um, we know that the outcome is going to be good for ease for good in the end of it. But but yeah, man, I've been a huge country music fan ever since I was growing up in the house. I my admiration for love for country music and rock music are yes, and gospel music. How can those three things go together? That's a good question.
They do.
Um, yeah, but but you know what? I'm just so thankful that God has. This isn't my show, man. This is God's show because only God can give me the guests that I've been able to have on that show.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so let's talk about Oak Ridge Boys for a minute, if you will. Joe has been one of the uh, best vocals in country music, I think. And every time you see him on like live shows or in concert, he was the funniest guy in the room.
Uh-huh.
Because I saw him a few times back in I think 1986 when because my parents used to take me to Busch Gardens and they used to perform at Busch Gardens. I saw Johnny Cash, Oak Ridge Boys, Reba McEntire, Robert. List goes on. And Oak Ridge Boys was my favorite show of all time back then. So yes, so we'll miss you, Joe. But William Lee Golden was on your show twice, right? Or was it just one
Yeah,
time? Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah. Okay. So
I've talked to William Lee Golden 3 times. And
3 times.
do I have time to tell a William Lee Golden
We
story?
got all the time you want to. Yeah.
Well, I'll just say this. On my graduation day, I graduated from one of the best high schools in Spokane, Washington, called Innovation High School and Pride Schools. That's a charter. That's something that we can talk about later if you
Yeah.
want. But
Yeah.
that's the school that I'm very. In fact, Elvira was actually premiered on that stage, and I sang it, and those kids sang back to me. I'll send you a video, and
Yeah.
you can play it in here of me singing Elvira when I was younger, and the people reacting to it the way they did was
Right.
incredible, man.
Yeah.
But you know what? I got to tell you that William Lee Golden is the nicest soul you'll ever meet in country music. Forget about music, in the world.
Yeah.
I think there are 3 people in this nation, 4, that are the most nicest people in the world. And I'm not just saying this. It's my mom, who I love, who's been riding shotgun with me for 20 years. Me and my mother have been an incredible team. My girlfriend, who every day makes me get up and smile and see another day. James Cox and William Lee Golden and Jeff Panzer. He's gonna kill me.
Oh,
And Danny Stefanetti.
you included me in it. All right, nice. I love you
You,
for that, man.
James, your questions and the way that you run this show is unique and incredible, and I'm so thankful to be a part. But William Lee Golden and Jeff Panzer are 2 of my best friends, and it doesn't matter what anybody says. I will have a friendship with those guys until my dropping day,
Yeah.
because it was William Lee Golden and Jeff Panzer who called me on my graduation day. I was graduating high school, and they called me to wish me a congratulations. I
Man, that's I don't think you can get better than that. That's so awesome. Yeah, that's so awesome.
those 2. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. You go ahead.
Both of those guys are. I see both of those guys, especially Jeff, as family. Jeff has given me so much advice and career talking tos, and I would like to think that they're paying off. So
yeah, okay. So that's another person I want to talk about to you. Is Jeff Panzer and William Golden, because they both introduced me, not William but Jeff, primarily. But I want to give a big shout out to Angel Wings on Facebook for getting me in touch with Jeff Panzer. Uh, but I've seen on YouTube that William is a big fan of Danny Stefanetti's, and I know that she's been on your show, she's been on my show, and she is a client, or I guess I would like to say she's a friend of Jeff Handel too. She's not a client of his, but I was looking at your podcast on the kgcshow.com, which everybody should go to right now, and then come back to this interview. You've talked to her quite a few times, right? Like about 4 or 5 times, right?
yeah, Danny Stefanetti has become a dear friend over the past couple of years. I another guy. Well, not another guy, but there's a guy named Jeff Panzer who I will never forget the day that he called me and said, "Hey, do you want to interview the next big thing?" Danny Stefanetti. I was over at my manager's. I was sitting over at my best friend's house, Matthias and Nelson. Love you, buddy.
Yeah.
But I was sitting over there, and he goes, "You ready to interview Danny Stefanetti?" I said, "Okay." And with Jeff, you never know when it's going to be.
Right.
And so I'm thinking I'm going to interview him right then and there. And all they do is just call me and plan it out. And that was the very first day I met Danny. She took over my show. She did a podcast on me. And and it turned out really great. I was happy with the way it turned out. Danny's a dear friend. And just to show people that she's a true friend, I have her CD right here.
Nice.
And I've believed in Danny legitimately since day one, and but it was Jeff who discovered her and man is now managing her
Yes.
And is doing a mighty fine job at it, I might add.
Remarkable
There's
job,
no
yeah.
one better in the business than Jeff Panzer.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, because before we start recording, I told you that when we were doing an interview and when she sang her song, "The Timing Is Now," or "The Timing Is," I think it's "The Timing Is Now."
The
Uh,
timing was on.
right, yes, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yes. She sang that live to us, for us and to us on our show when we recorded her with her, but the audio wasn't all that, because of the Zoom. I don't know how Zoom works sometimes. How it messes up, right? And she was so kind to re-record it, send it to my email, and then I edited it in the podcast. So yeah, I mean, I can't thank Danny enough for doing that because she had no problem doing that, And I know, you
Well,
know,
you know something? You mentioned my show. She's singing the theme song of my show.
really. Oh
That that
wow.
that was a funny text message I sent to Jeff Vander.
Yeah.
I texted Jeff one day and I said, "Man, what do you think about a theme song idea?" And he goes, "Man, who are you? The Beatles?" I'll never forget it. He said, "Man, what do you need a theme song for?" And I said, "Man, I don't know, just to have one, just to open the show with." And he goes,
Right.
"Yeah." Within 30 minutes, I had a track, I had a vocal down by
Within
Danny
30 minutes.
within 30 minutes. And then
Yeah.
shortly after, she sent the rough mix. And what you hear on the show is the mastered final version that I got from Danny, is what you hear on my show.
Right. Man, I can't imagine that within 30 minutes, I mean, I've heard of well, I can really go. I mean, because she's who she is. She's like the best in the land, and yeah, she's great. She's great. So everybody, pull up a KGC podcast, and there she is, Danny Separate Danny, right there, singing to you
Mm-hmm.
at the intro. So, uh, so I want to mention or give a big shout out to Keith Camp. Although I never met the guy, I love him to death. But he actually reimagined your KGC podcast logo. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, he did. And yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about how you met him, what went into designing your new logo, and how did you come about his on the song?
Well, my brother Keith Camp is an incredible talent. And before I give too much credit, there's also another guy behind the scenes. His name is Daniel. And Daniel Vinto he's going to, I don't think I said his name right, but that's fine. He knows who he is.
Yeah.
But actually, his daughter is one of the best singers I've ever heard. Her name is Savvy. And she's a close friend of mine. She's stayed a close friend of mine. And so when I had this idea for these songs that started flooding my mind, I texted him and I said, "Man, what would you think about going into the studio?" And he goes, "Man, we can't do a studio because I'm in Salt Lake City. But what I can do is make a model out of your voice and work with it." I said, "Okay, man." So next thing I know, I started sending over different tracks. I sent over an Elvira track. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Bobby Sue, I Swing Down Sweet Chariot, I think I did. I just sang different songs. And from then, I made a model out of my voice. And that's what you hear on the record. I think.
Yeah.
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 But how the whole Keith Camp thing came to be about was it's a funny story. Is I had just posted my website, and I just posted my website, and I see this comment from a guy by the name of Keith Camp with the blue check mark, and I said, "Okay." Well, later I come to find out that he charges people, but he doesn't charge me because he wanted to be a part of the project. And
Yeah.
so he sent over a few finalized things, and I loved them. I thought they were cool. And he says, "Man, if you want, I can redesign your website. I can do whatever you want for you, man. So don't. All you have to do is just tell me what you want done, and we'll get it done.
Yeah. Man, I tell you what, that's like the best feeling, you know, because it's always refreshing to have somebody who has their back and won't charge you money for it. You know, they do it out of the kindness of their hearts, free. You know, that's what I'm that's what I'm trying to find because I find more um, podcast promoters wanting something. You know, I mean, of course they want money, but if they do it for free, it's kind of it's like an extra feeling of okay, this guy really, really, really believes in me so much that he's not charging me for anything, and I find that like immensely um, a good feeling, you know. So
Yeah, man, and you'll have those people along the way.
yeah,
Uh, for me, one of those people are you and Blake. I know for sure that I can come to you guys with any time I need, and you guys are right there. And that's the beauty of being podcast brothers is
yeah,
we may not be able to talk on the phone as much as we would like to, but we still make time to catch up with each other and check in
yes,
with each other. And
definitely.
like you said at the beginning of the show, you are one of my best friends, and
Oh,
and
thank you so much. Yeah.
I think there are three podcasts in this entire world that you have reached the top of, in my opinion. An indie pop artist, it's the When Words Fail, Music Speaks podcast, number one.
Mm-hmm.
I love you guys. You guys are incredible. The Jay Fran show, because you have to go check out Jay's,
Right.
and Real Music with Gary Stuckey.
Gary Stuckey. All right, I will check him out as soon as I get off the interview with you. Um, yes. Okay. So I gotta get you. I have to get you in contact with my good friend, Doc Brass. I'm not sure if you heard of him, but he's the guy who did our theme. You know
Yeah,
the opening theme and the closing theme. So I got to get you on his. I got to get him on your show because he's sort of very sweet of a guy, and he's one of the guys just like you and me right now. I mean, we don't talk as much, but when we do, we talk about like we talk like we known each other forever and a day. You know, so that's
yeah.
awesome. So. All right, so I got a file of your song and I want to play it right now. Uh, to, just because of hold on, just because of the Zoom feature. We can't have you sing it live, in which we wanted to, you know. But Zoom is good for a lot of things, but for audio singing, it's not very good for that. So if
Well,
you,
how about this for you guys? Like Danny, I will take time. I will send you in a video of me singing it. Actually,
oh
that's
yeah,
funny. Give me a couple weeks, and I'll send you a video of me singing it. And you know what? The very first time I'll perform the song live will be on your show. You got it.
perfect. Yes, perfect. Yeah, and then well, we do have a video of Danny singing her song on our YouTube channel, so we're gonna do the exact same thing. When you send me your version on video, I'll edit it, put it up on YouTube, and then yeah, that'd be great. So thank you so much for that. You know. Okay, so
Yes, sir. I got you.
yeah, okay, so a few more questions before we go. Who is your we know that country is your favorite genre, okay? But who is your
Mhm.
favorite band and singer of all time? Who would that be?
William Lee Golden and the Goldens and Danny Stefanetti. I
Got
really can't
it.
pick a. I can't.
Yeah.
Those two are. I can't say any bad things about them. And while we are talking about Joe Bonsall, may he rest in peace,
Yeah.
Mr. Rusty Golden, Mr. Rusty Golden, William Lee's boy.
Oh
I
yeah.
want. I would be actually in trouble if I didn't mention Rusty. Rusty was an incredible talent. In fact, when they were recording the in the pandemic, I will never forget this as long as I live. He did John Denver's "Take Me Home, Country Roads,"
Oh man.
and anytime I hear that song now, I always think of Rusty. So I, I'm going to stick with my two answers: Danny Stephanetti and William Lee Golden,
That's perfect. I mean, yeah,
and the Oak Ridge Boys.
right. Yeah, I don't think you can get any better than Danny and William. And I'm dying to have William anytime come on the show because I've never talked to him yet, which will change in the very near future, I think. All I got to do is just reach out to Jeff Panzer if you're listening, Jeff. Let's get that set up. So, um, we do
If
love
you're
you.
listening, I love you, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. So we do love you, Caden, and we want you to come back anytime you want to. Um, is there any like? Okay, so our last question of all time is going to be our hardest, and I'm sure you know what it is because you listen to our show, and thank you for that. Is there any one song, artist, or album that you can listen to, but you can't tell me, your girlfriend, your mom, your dad, Jeff, William, or Danny how it makes you feel deep inside your soul?
Wow. Um, I was waiting for this question, and yet for some reason I didn't have an answer.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Because this question is so hard because it brings up so many emotions, and that's why that's why it's asked at the last question. Yeah.
Well, I think, for obvious reasons, when you think of country music and not even country music, when you think of real written songs, you have to go to your standards, Amazing Grace and How Great Thou Art. I mean, songs that are
Yeah.
prolific and that stand the test of time are those type of songs. For me personally, Elvira by the Oak Ridge Boys, for um, some reason or another, that song has meant the world to me. And, it takes on a whole new meaning now that Joe's gone because,
Yeah.
that's his signature sound.
Yeah.
And, but if you had to kneel me down and, you know, do all that stuff, I would have to say William Lee Golden singing Thank God for Kids. I
Mm.
think there's not a greater moment, not only in an Oak Ridge Boys show, but in music in general, is when my man William Lee Golden sings "Thank God for Kids."
Yeah.
It's a because he has a way of connecting a song to you, and you know, I got it. I want to say something before we kind of close,
Oh
if
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Please.
And
Yeah.
and this is and this is just for your audience. I don't do this with every podcast I get on, but I wanted to say it for yours. The title of this podcast is more than just a title. It's a statement, you guys. We're not when words fail, because we are human and we are all human and we're never perfect. But when words fail, that song that you gravitate to, that that lyric and that song that captivates your heart is there for a reason. Because when words fail, music speaks louder than any statement that you can ever make. And we are all human. I mean, the same thing that you're going to cut open me with is the same thing you're going to cut James open with. And you're going to get the same three colors, red, white, and blue, to bleed out of both of us. But
Right.
I'm going to tell you something. We sure do love our music as much as we love talking to you fine folks. Sorry,
Oh yeah.
I
No.
had to do it.
No. That's perfect, man. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, because words always fail us in times of emotions, and music has that ability to do that, because
Yeah.
there's got to be like 4 or 5 songs that I can listen to, but I can't tell you how it makes me feel inside. It's so deep in my soul I can't, because there's one song every time I listen to it I cry. I don't know what it is about the song. It's have you heard of the Dead Deads?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Well, look them up because they're great. But they have a song called Santa Beamed. It's either Santa Beamed Me Up or Santa Beamed Us Up, you know. And that song reminds me of my times living in, well, coming to Sumter when I was a child every Christmas. Um, and we used to have like family get togethers, and that song instantly reminds me of all those feelings and I can't put into words that feeling, So yeah, yeah.
No pun intended when I say this, but when I hear "Thank God for Kids," I get a little Christmas feeling inside anytime I get to hear it. And
Right.
the reason why I say no pun intended because that song was on their first Christmas album
Oh,
in
okay. Yeah,
1982,
yeah.
and so that's probably the wondering of the reasons why he says there's no Big Bird or a Mickey Mouse or something about Santa Claus. He says something about Santa Claus in the song,
Yeah.
but anyway, I'm not going to try and think about
Yeah.
what the
No.
lyric is
Yeah.
exactly because it's
Right.
going to give me gray hairs.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, James, you and Blake have something, man. And how long have you been doing this show?
For 4 years now, we've been doing. We started in February 2020.
Well, man, I'm going to tell you something. Thank you. I think I speak on behalf of everybody who's ever been a guest on your show or just watched your show. Thank you, my man, for what you've done, not only for music, but for the podcast industry. It's an honor and a privilege, my honor and privilege to share the business with you and to get to know you as well as I have over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It's been my honor and my privilege. So thank you guys so much for all your support and continued love. And this is one of the best podcasts you will ever get on because
Oh,
it's
thank you so
authentic,
much.
it's real, and these are real men working every day, coming home to do a passion that they love to do so very much. And I'm so
Yeah.
thankful that I got to be on this show here today.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Because that means a lot. Because I never know what uh how much our podcast means because I not to be kind of not to be foreshadowing, but we never get any kind of messages or anything. So what you said really helps out a lot, because there's been times when I think that this show isn't going to do so well, blah blah blah, what I'm going to doing here. But hearing stuff like that and hearing you love us for what we do means a lot to me. And we got to give also a big shout out to Amanda. She's our newest host, and I'm sure you've heard her voice before. So we can't forget about Amanda. She is like a pretty new. Well, I don't want to say new anymore because she's been with us a full year now, and we love her to death. So yeah, so thank you for your kind words, sir.
Yes, and Miss Amanda, I'm sorry I didn't
Oh no, no,
recognize
yeah, yeah,
you.
it's fine. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure.
Just early morning.
Yeah.
Early morning. There
Yes,
you go.
we are recording this at 8, and it's now 9:02, and I normally don't get up until 9:30, so this is early for me too. Yeah, so we
Yeah,
understand.
well,
Yeah.
for you, well, you have the luxury. I don't want you to say it's early for you because it's 6:03 right here for me. It's 6:03 in the morning. So
So where are you at?
I'm in Spokane, Washington, Pacific Standard Time.
Oh my God! Because I thought you were on the Eastern time, buddy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Washington State, right?
Yeah,
Oh my God. So you're right near Seattle, correct?
yeah,
Almost. Yeah.
about 4 hours away from Seattle. I think 4 or 5. I'm about 2 hours away from the closest Montana town.
Yeah.
Oregon's near me, so I get around pretty easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love Seattle. Seattle's one of the things I got to go visit because grunge. I don't know if you know this, but grunge started there with Nirvana is the godfathers of grunge, and they got Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Stone Temple Band. Yeah, so Seattle pretty much started a whole new genre, which is great. So I gotta visit Seattle sometime soon in the near future, and come see you. Maybe we can hang out.
Yes, man.
Yeah.
Yes. Whenever you're in town, give me a call. You know what? I'm gonna text you after this on my number. And
Okay.
yeah,
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't
Let's
let
do that.
people have my number very much, but I
Yeah.
will for you.
All right.
But no, man, you guys have an incredible show. And you know what? I'm gonna say this. You're not paying me to say this. I know you're not. And you don't know what's coming next. Neither do
No,
I.
no.
That's the beauty
Right.
of this.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, but James, this is one of the best shows for independent, any artist, independent or major, because these two, like I said, these guys have a dream, and every guest I can tell means something to them. Every time that they put their heart and soul into an interview, they really do. They really, really do make it the best episode that they can. All three of you guys, and just I want to congratulate you and say thank you, and for this huge honor. And I hope to come back on your show and talk soon. And who knows? We might be doing a project together.
We might. Who knows? Anything can happen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, Caden, once again for coming on the show. And for everybody listening, go to the kgcpodcast.com and listen to a show. Give him a rating and review. Let's get him up to 5 stars if he's not there already, which I'm sure he is. We want to give a big shout out to Jeff Panzer, Danny Stepernati, and William Golden. I hope to have William on the show sometime soon. But we honestly do love you, and we can't wait for more big artists to come on the show. And thank you for listening. And always remember, when words fail, music speaks. All right, guys. Bye. Thank you so much. That was incredible.
Was that great? Was that good for you guys?
That was awesome. Yes.